I want to bring in Lieutenant General H.R. McMaster. He is a former national security advisor in the first Trump administration, of course, four-star general. So, General, you know, I recall, I can't remember exactly what devices it was, but I remember President Obama in his first term, I think he wanted to stay with his BlackBerry or his iPhone. I can't remember which one, but whatever one that wasn't secure. Do you recall which one it was?
Yeah, it was a BlackBerry. It was a BlackBerry.
Right. He wanted to stay with the BlackBerry.
Yeah.
And national security officials said you cannot stay with the BlackBerry because they're not secure. You can't continue to use it. And even though he loved using his BlackBerry, he ultimately had to switch. Of course, we all remember what happened with Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, former Secretary of State, when it was discovered that she was using a private email server. We had hearing after hearing on the Hill. I know that it was all politics, but there was a real reason for those concerns, which is the ability for foreign adversaries to have access to this information. So even if you think it's great that the American people have a little bit of insight into how brilliant these guys are in planning an attack on the Houthis, are there laws that are potentially broken here?
Yeah, I mean, there are. And, you know, every administration, new administration, is kind of a chaotic period, Vlad, and you get breakdowns like this. What I'd like to see is just the administration should just own it and say, yeah, we made a mistake. We're not going to do that anymore. But also, Vlad, you know, what we need is something that's more convenient for not the most classified conversations, not for war plans, certainly, but for just routine communications. I mean, there's not like a government app to make routine communications more secure. We need that. That can conform with like the Presidential Records Act as well, Vlad, which requires you to retain those communications and retain those records. But you know, these kinds of classified conversations, they should be held, you know, in a specially compartmented intelligence facility, like the Situation Room of the White House. And then if you have somebody traveling, you connect them via secure communications. Because, hey, you know, our adversaries, they're all over us, Vlad. You know, I mean, they're trying to get into your systems through encryption, you know, break encryption like this, but also, you know, onto hardware. So it's really important to have, you know, secure communications facilities when you're discussing, you know, these top secret, most sensitive issues.
So can you explain to our viewers then how in a perfect world it's supposed to work? Because what Jeffrey Goldberg alleges is that he watched in real time the attack on Houthi forces play out as described by the detailed plan of attack that Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth shared in this group chat. So given that this is a commercially available app, any one of us can use Signal. How should it happen? How should national security officials, the defense secretary, and others communicate with each other or watch in real time as an attack that's been planned happens?
So this was a part of the Principals Committee of the National Security Council. What this is are, you know, the heads of departments and agencies who have relevance, right, to national security decision making, and who help the president by giving him best analysis and teeing up options, making recommendations to the president. These kinds of conversations would typically happen in person, mainly in the Situation Room of the White House. The National Security Advisor convenes that group, presides over that group. If somebody's traveling remotely, you bring that person in through secure communications, which you can do on an airplane, you can do in a vehicle, or preferably you move that person into a U.S. embassy that has this kind of intelligence facility. I mean, that's all hard. It's not super convenient. And I think what happened here is they traded off security for convenience. You just can't do that. So, you know, every administration has like a big issue like this when they come in because, you know, people don't get trained properly. You know, it's coming together on the fly, right? They're all traveling to Saudi Arabia. They're going to Moscow. They're moving. I mean, so what you need is, a time out. Okay, let's all get our procedures in place. I think what we're fortunate about here, Vlad, is that you had a very responsible journalist, you know, who kept this to himself until after the strikes were over. You know, so of course, you know, this was a breach. I mean, I think what we want to see is you want to see the administration learn from it and put some appropriate procedures in place to make sure this never happens again.
Yeah, you raised a good point, General, which is that Jeffrey Goldberg, not only did he not reveal the name of a foreign intelligence operative one of our foreign intelligence operatives, who was named in these text messages by, I believe, the defense secretary. But the other thing that's been reported is that Steve Witkoff, who's the special envoy who's trying to put an end to the war in Ukraine, was actually in Moscow while this was happening and allegedly might have been involved, might have been one of those members of the group chat, the group text. So the question, of course, is, and you will know this in your former role as a cabinet official, how easy would it be for the Kremlin or Vladimir Putin to figure out what's going on a Signal app while Witkoff is literally in the Kremlin?
Well, I'm telling you, Vlad, don't even bring your phone to Russia. I mean, don't bring your computer to Russia. I mean, or other places, China. I mean, you don't carry your devices. Whenever I traveled, I brought a burner phone with me. You leave everything behind, and of course that doesn't eliminate the risk because, they're coming after you all the time, right? Mm-hmm. They're trying to get not only into your phone in a way that allows them to get through encryption, but also they try to compromise hardware. They collect on you directly. They are extremely persistent in terms of the nature of the threat there. So, hey, you have to take all countermeasures. It takes discipline to do that. It takes training, even though you got the vice president who was a senator, but you have others who really don't have much experience, and it's important up front in the chaos of this administration coming together to take time out. I mean, I'm thinking back, Vlad, to the Kennedy administration, right? They came in kind of the same attitude. Hey, we're going to move fast, break things. We're going to be disruptive. Forget all those procedures from the Eisenhower administration. We're the whiz kids, right? We're going to make decisions quickly, informally. And you know what you get out of that, Vlad? You got the Bay of Pigs out of that, So we don't have anything that serious, but I think it's time to learn from this and to put the procedures in place. There are people on the permanent staff of the National Security Council, on the NSC staff who help with this. It's their jobs. Now, hopefully they haven't gotten doged, they haven't gotten moved out of government, but you need some of that professional staff to help you with this.
Yeah, I'm sure Elon Musk is wondering, hey, why wasn't I included in that? Somebody's head is going to roll. And speaking, before we go, General, I mean, should somebody lose their job? You point out that there may not be a lot of experience. I get it. Pete Hegseth was a former talk show host. But Mike Waltz is a decorated Army Special Forces colonel. He was a congressman. He would presumably have some insight into how this stuff works. And allegedly, he was the one who invited Goldberg into the chat. So should there be accountability? I know that this president isn't always one for holding folks accountable because he thinks that any time you hold someone accountable, you're admitting that you made a mistake. But should somebody be held accountable, just objectively speaking here?
Well, I think people should be held accountable just, to fix the problem, but I think the country, we all need this administration to succeed. And I think this administration has a much better chance to succeed with Mike Waltz in his position. Now, I might be hurting him with some people by saying that. But I really think that, what's interesting about this conversation, too, that we all have out in the open is kind of the nature of the debate that's going on within the administration between like those who I might call the retrenchers, right? Those who think we should kind of disengage from these complex challenges abroad and let other people deal with them, like the Europeans and others, and those who are like the America First people for President Trump, but who have a more internationalist perspective and a more active approach, not only to foreign policy, but also to national security and the need in this case, right, to remove this threat to international shipping from the Houthis. And what this debate shows us is that at least that debate is going on. And that's kind of a good thing. You want that debate to go on within the administration. I think Mike Waltz represents an important perspective there. It seems to me like he's playing kind of the honest broker to get everybody's views. Now, we didn't want to read that on Signal, right? That should be happening within the Situation Room. But I think Mike Waltz gives the president, a much better chance of success in these matters.
You're right about that, General. As Americans, no matter which political divide you fall on, you want the President of the United States and thus his cabinet to succeed because it makes all of us safe, makes all of us better. And so, yeah, I think we're in agreement on that. Lieutenant General H.R. McMaster, always great to have you, sir. Thank you so much, as always. Appreciate it.